an understanding of what it is that we can take the teachings with you. So I'm recording these so that we can then go and you can find a place and kind of meditate with it, because sometimes when I talk at the beginning of practice, if we're not settled in yet, if we're not a little sure, we can kind of miss a few things, but then you can go back and listen and then reconnect to it for the rest of the week. You can contemplate it for the rest of the month. There's a lot of recordings that are already up there from other classes that I've done, and they kind of all dovetail into each other. So when we work with a chakra here every month, this month has been the root chakra, and who's been here consistently this month? Right? Yeah. How you feeling? A little sore, opening, sometimes like unearthing some stuff. You can kind of get down into some layers of discomfort in the hips and the lower back, and channeling the fire to kind of like plant your roots and get connected to the ground beneath you. So this can be it can be challenging, but every month brings its own challenge. Part of what root chakra challenge is, though, is the first facet is like the clearing it out. So it's like spring cleaning, opening up the basement, unpacking some boxes, making sure that we're kind of like just doing the work to stay clear and grounded. Which, does anybody else hate cleaning like that? Like deep cleaning? Like, I can't stand it. I would rather do anything else with my time rather than like unpack boxes and sift through things that I should get rid of. There's a part of my nature that it's like, but I might need that. But I might need that. I had that 5 years ago, and I might need it at some point, so I'm going to save that. So, but why though? If you haven't used it in 5 years, do you really need that thing? Do we really still need to have that? It was an exercise for me when I moved suddenly from my old studio to the new one 2 years ago. I only had about 4 weeks, maybe 3.5 weeks to move from the other studio to this one, get this one ready, and then because I couldn't pay double rent and I really needed to just kind of make it happen. And all of the stuff that I had accumulated at the old studio, I didn't have stuff to move it, and I was doing it largely by myself at like packing times. So I had all these plastic totes up in my attic filled with baby clothes. You remember this one. And my children are 14 and 11, and it was like, why do I have all these like things with infant clothing and baby clothing? And it was like, well, I could have another baby. They're 14 and 11. Like, I don't think I'm having another baby. And even if I did, I could go get some different clothing, and that would be fine. I had, 15 boxes of these things, and I thought, well, okay, I'm going to do it quickly. I'm going to go upstairs, and I'm going to bring everything down, and it'll be good, because it's spring cleaning. So it was April, of this time, exactly, actually. And I thought, yeah, I'm going to do it, and it'll be fine. I've been meaning to, I've been putting it off. It's all this stuff in my attic. Let me just do this. So I go upstairs, and I start taking down tote after tote after tote. And it was in between teaching, and I have my kids to take care of and all the other things that were happening, teacher training, all of this stuff that was happening simultaneously. Yeah, I'll do it quickly. As I'm going through baby clothes, it's like I'm picking it up, and it's like a visceral memory of my childhood, and it was like that, and it's like, and now my 14-year-old doesn't even want to look at me, and he's like, smelly, and he hates me, and I'm like, and it's like, and I'm holding this up, and I can see his perfect little body and face in it, and when I used to kiss those feet, and now his feet make me want to throw up, and it's like, it's like, so I'm weeping in these in-between times, but I have to keep it moving. So it was like, keep it moving, keep it moving. There was this energy of like, clear it. Okay, I'm going to cry for 20 minutes and then I'm going to go back to teach. Okay. It is like, and then moving the studio and then all of the grief and then all of this stuff. So it was coming through. And during that time, I was, I was sad about a lot of it, and I didn't want to let a lot of it go. But I thought, it's been sitting in an attic, not being used. This isn't useful. Why is this here? Why am I still holding on to this? I should donate it. It could go to people who could use it. It's in really good condition. Why am I hoarding it? Why am I holding on to that? So I was able to really put it all in the garbage bags, and then, okay, I'm gonna donate this. I'm gonna donate this. But there was like a pile of my favorite ones that I said, I cannot. But what can I do with these? I'm not just going to put them back in the attic. That's silly. So Kathy Marlino right here is a very dear old friend of mine and has been for many years. And she was actually, talk about divine intervention too, my son's second grade teacher. She was already my yoga student. And when I was talking about the anxiety that I had about my son starting second grade because he was unique and a challenge, and I was afraid that people weren't really going to see him, she was like, well, I teach in the Islip School District. Maybe he'll get me. And he did. Out of how many teachers were there? I mean, at least, 7 kindergarten teachers. Out of all of those, for him to get her, and then for your classroom to be so different in the Montessori setting that you did it in the public school system, it was like, wow. So there was a lot of divine intervention, and Kathy's known my son for this many years, and it was really very poignant. And she's a gifted quilter, and she sews and makes all these beautiful things. So I took this bag of clothing and I brought it to Kathy, and I said, hey, could you make me like a t-shirt quilt out of this? Like one of those, things where you can save. These are all my favorite kids' baby clothing, and it's not being used, but I want a way that I can have it. And she made me this beautiful blanket, and she brought it. How many months later, it was such a beautiful piece of art, and I just whenever it was, you brought it in, and then it was during that time, and it was Heart Chakra Month or something, that it came back in, and it was you do the work, and then it comes back, and then it's healing. And now whenever I lay and take a nap on my biomat at home, I take my beautiful blankie and I wrap myself up in my little babies again. So you don't have to get rid of everything. You just have to figure out how to repurpose things so that it can be useful instead of just, something that's cluttering up and that you're avoiding doing. So that's what Root Chakra Month can kind of be like. Clear out and examine what have you been carrying around? What's in your heart? What's in your basement? What's in the recesses and the corners of your mind, of your consciousness, that maybe it's time to let that go. Maybe there are things that you're ready to move on from. And then there are other things that it's no, that's special and I want to hold on to that and I'm never going to let that go. Good. So then those are the foundational pieces of you, and that's great. There's nothing wrong with maintaining that. The root chakra is really the foundation of your whole self, your spiritual, emotional, psychic self. It's also your ancestry. It's where you've come from. It's your lineage. This is a sense of what has come before you. And our root chakras on a very physical, energetic level at this point, whether or not you believe in past lives, what has been proven at this point is something called epigenetics. And the epigenetics are the ancestral traumas and instincts that have been passed down through your genealogy. What happened multiple generations ago is showing up in you in various degrees and ways that we don't quite understand sometimes. It'll show up as ancient phobias, but there's also things like your mom imprinting into you. Her sister dying and all of that happening, and no, it's not safe, keep your feet on the ground. How many years you're working on your headstand? 46, right? And every time her toes get to then there's a part of your, her body that says, no, that's not safe, keep your feet on the ground. And that's mom. It's hi, mom. Love you, mom. There is a place where you can still kind of hold that ancestral understanding of your mother, and then you can rewrite your DNA on other levels. They're proving now in shamanic culture and also in yoga technology that we can actually turn on new aspects of our DNA and pass on different things to our children. So if it's if you did the work before you had kids, then it would you would give them the new rewritten DNA. But if you had children before you did the healing, well, then they have your ancestral karma too. And now this is something that we have to all work on collectively to change. We can rewrite it though. It's our DNA is actually flexible, and that there's a lot of research that's happening now with this epigenetic understanding that the work that you do on this mat is not just for you, but it's actually healing in both directions, that you can actually clear out ancestral karma and these things that, it's okay to not be afraid of taking your feet off the ground anymore, right? And every time you get your toes even a little light, you're working to that. So don't be attached to what it looks like or how perfectly you're executing it. It really just is about what you can do, what you're capable of doing in this moment, and then just keep going. And the more that every day that you're alive, we can open up another box and maybe, take it out and cry a little bit. And then what do we want to save? And what's a good ancestral, memory? What are these instincts that are, beautiful and valid? That's where, food culture, this food tradition, there's a lot of things that comes through that we can be fed by, intergenerational things that we don't have to get rid of. Not everything that came from the past is bad. Not everything that happened to our ancestors was trauma. In other ways, we are living our ancestors' prayers. We are our ancestors' prayers. When I see how just a few generations ago where my family came from, it was super poverty, living is starving. It's like potato famine in Ireland and, crazy poverty in Naples and Sicily and, making their way over here and against all odds and being, the racism against them and everything that was happening. It was oh, and then talk about, the Italians and the Irish hating each other. And it was my grandfather, Kenneth Doyle, marries Amalia Parisi. Ooh, it was like Capulets and Montagues coming together. And, they were shunned for a lot of it. The Irish and Italian thing, it's they just couldn't get over it. And it's now, people don't even think of it. It's they kind of gang up against the others. And it's wow, isn't that interesting? You both hated each other so thoroughly, and now, things can change. My DNA is changing that because I am a blend. I am, Italian, Irish, German, French, English. It's I'm American. Here we are. And now I'm also blending in these other cultural understandings. So whatever you're unpacking, you don't have to get rid of. Don't have a fire sale. Don't just throw things away in garbage bags. Don't, do it hastily. Carefully examine, unpack, see what's real for you, see what's up for you, and then, lovingly tend to it. As your practice becomes a prayer, then you will also start acknowledging, thank you. Thank you. It's I have my mother's bones. I know that. I already have arthritis, and I was given it at a very young age. My mom couldn't do a lot. She was in a lot of pain for a long time. And when she suddenly died at 66 years old, it was like a shock. But I recognized that she couldn't really handle a lot of the karma that she inherited. I can. I'm a lot stronger physically than she was. I have a lot of pain. I can overcome it because I learned this practice young. So because of that, whenever I feel arthritic resistance in my body, I breathe with it, I work with it, and it's for my mom. Every back bend I do, she had a fused spine. She had a lumbar, issues, and she had arthritis in her pubic symphysis. When you have arthritis in every joint of your body, yeah, you're not moving a whole lot. And when you have a broken, it's her herniated discs that then went into spasm that then put her in the hospital, that then led her to surgery. Her movements were not, it was painful to be in my mom's body on a daily basis. I practice for her. I remember that whatever sensation I feel, it's nowhere near what she had to deal with, and I can take it. So I have the strength to overcome that. I'm healing her through my practice. I'm giving that to her. So when there is somebody in your life that you are directly related to that's suffering or struggling, dedicate your practice to them. Now it starts to go into this new place. You would never offer pain and suffering and violence to someone else. So you won't struggle through your practice. If it's for somebody else, you'll be gentle and compassionate and loving, and maybe you'll dig a little bit deeper and you'll have some kind of a new sense of awareness of what you're going to do with that. So that's a great root chakra understanding this month too, is to, why are you here? It's not just for you. Who can you offer your practice to? Who is this time for? And when you really align with that and invoke them and bring them in, it becomes a really beautiful, moving prayer. And then that's, the larger sense of where this practice can take you. So going back into the foundations, let's close our eyes and then really come inside to tap into your own body and your heart this morning. So as you root down, if you feel you need some extra support, give yourself a blanket or a bolster. If you notice that you always cross your legs in the same way, switch the cross now so that you can find a rewriting, we're open to a rewriting our patterns, starting from the ground up. As we're rooting down through the sit bones, really feel that connection, then lift and lengthen out of your lower back. So you have to engage your core in order to do that. We feel that nice pull of the navel back toward the spine. Feel your sternum tracking upwards. Give the shoulders a little roll, then release them down away from the ears, resting gently. Your hands can rest naturally wherever they can on your legs. If you feel like you need some grounding energy, have your palms facing down. Really feel the connection and the warmth to yourself. If you're feeling grounded already and you want to be open to connect to your more subtle energy, turn your palms facing up. Then join the tip of the thumb and the forefinger together to form Jnana Mudra. Your eyes are lightly closed, but if you have to force them shut, allow your eyes to be softly focused on a boring spot, maybe like 3 feet ahead. Let the eyes go to half-mast. Eventually, they may close on their own. Don't worry about forcing it. We notice as you scan your body from head to toe what you're feeling, what you've been carrying around physically this week. How's your digestion? How did you rest? Do you have any chronic conditions or injuries or pain that you've been dealing with? It's all just to witness without judgment, so you can serve the needs of your body today. As you scan then your mental and emotional spheres, what's been rattling around in your heart and mind lately? Do you notice the physical association to it? Again, just notice. No right or wrong, good or bad. And connecting to this awareness fully, we invite the breath to help to move it. As you inhale, really flood all the way down to your pelvic floor. Exhale and gush it out. Let it go. So the open mouth on the exhale, these first few breaths. And do that a few more times. Take in as much as you can. Gush it out. Sounding or sighing can come through if it feels right. One more time. And then allow your breath to become deep and full, this time with your mouth closed, and layer in your Ujjayi breathing. Ujjayi is an oceanic sound constricting the back of the throat on the inhales and the exhales. It's the same muscles that you use when you whisper or if you're trying to fog up a mirror. If you're not sure of the breath yet, open your mouth and do it there. And you lightly let the lips close. Keep that breath going. It's a really auditory, connected experience because it's not just for yourself. It's for the room. We connect and we recognize that we breathe for each other. We're all in this together. And we set our collective intentions to really bear witness to the body, what it needs today, but to invoke this presence of our ancestry, our lineage. What's coming through us that needs to be healed? What can we handle that they could not? How can we ground in this physical prayer for the next hour to transmute what needs to be, to heal what needs to be, to hold on to what is holy and sacred, to celebrate that lineage? If you have that person in your mind you'd like to call in, please do. Send them your blessings. And we open the practice by chanting Om 3 times together. Inhale deeply for Om.